Hey guys, it's Rich from Rich Mid Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Hope everyone's had a really good weekend. And I want to start this video by just saying a huge thank you to every single person out there who has contributed to this channel by liking, subscribing and commenting on the videos. Over the weekend, we surpassed the 500 subscriber milestone, quicker than I ever thought we would do. So once again, thank you so much for your support, for all your comments, for all your suggestions, all your feedback. It really does mean a huge amount. Now, this video is probably the most requested video that I get, and it is a tier list for every single character in Marvel Crisis Protocol. Now, as there are only 7 2-threat characters in the game, it gives me a little bit more time in this video to give you guys a quick update on some of the other exciting things that we've got coming up on Rich Mid Gaming. Starting off, I wanted to let you know that you can now find all my content on the Across the Bifrost Nexus. So what is the Across the Bifrost Nexus? Well, it's a repository or a collection of content for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Everything from blog articles to podcasts, some live streamers, video content creators, plus many other resources that you can use whilst playing Marvel Crisis Protocol. Whether you're looking for first impressions of brand new characters, some great concepts such as the 3-box challenge, some more on that later on in a future video, or podcasts and interviews with some of the best players in the game at the moment. Across the Bifrost Nexus is a great repository for all levels of Marvel Crisis Protocol players, and I would highly suggest you head over there to take a look at some of the other content creators that are out there. Second quick update then is that Rich Mid Gaming is now live on Facebook, and this is where I'm going to be posting everything that really isn't suitable for YouTube. So we're going to be running some painting competitions, we're going to be running some quiz nights, and this is where you're going to be able to find all the in-life real person events that I'm looking to host over the next coming months. And with that, we have our first ever Marvel Crisis Protocol event that we're running, the Multiverse event, that is going to be a 3-person team event on the 20th of November. Now, we're still finalising the details of this, but it's looking like it's going to be in Derby. I'm hoping that by the end of play today, we'll have finalised all those details and then can share those with you. Again, you can find a link to this and the Facebook page down in the description below. So without further ado, let's jump over to our tier list for the Threat 2 characters in Marvel Crisis Protocol. So with this tier list and all the other tier lists that we're going to be making, there is an element of my own personal choice in here, both how I've played with these characters and how I've had these characters played against me, coupled with all of the stats from various rosters, winning rosters, rosters that get into the last 16 of the latest season being season 5, plus taking the views and opinions of all of those other great content creators that we mentioned earlier. So what makes up a good 2-threat character? Well, for me, a good 2-threat character is somebody that can sit on a back point, soaking up or churning over that 1 victory point, 2 victory point per round for a very small amount of cost. If they can do anything over and above that, so if they're stealth, for example, if they have a long range attack, or if they can bodyguard, in one example, it's going to push them up the pecking order. So starting off then, going in straight away to B tier is Black Widow, aka Natasha Romanoff. I really like her as a character. She's a good, solid 2-threat addition to most rosters. The fact that she has stealth means that she can be on a back point and people have to get closer to her. Martial artist means that she can be a little bit more tanky than you may think at first. And for 2 points, her mixed technique can actually dish out the stagger condition as well. So good overall solid choice. She also comes in the core box, so everybody has access to her. So next up is Bob, and he's coming in at a C tier. So why is he C? Well, yes, he can sit on a back point and take those victory points, but excessive violence isn't particularly great. You may get one off in a game, that's okay, but it costs a huge amount of power to reload it. He does have the unique ability, which means he can never be removed from the board if you activate him last, but overall I've seen him be very inconsistent and more often than not on the bad side as opposed to good, which for me right now only gives him a C tier. So next up then is Nebula, and as I mentioned before, one of the key things that I'm looking at with a 2-threat character is then being able to pick up that extra 1 or 2 victory points per game that can make the difference. Now she does have 4 stamina and a long move, which should be okay, but she's designed to be an assassin, and the shock sword assault just isn't good enough and doesn't deal out enough damage to be able to take out most characters in the game. So for me, Nebula goes into D tier. Next up then is Okoye, and a character that is featured in a number of my other videos. At only 4 stamina and 3s across the board, she doesn't seem particularly tanky at first, but with her general of the Dora Milaje ability allowing her to reroll attack or defense dice, and martial artist allowing her to count blanks as successes if she's within 2 of an attacking character using an energy or a physical attack, she's much tankier than you would initially expect. Her Vibranium Spear Blast is a range 4 with a guaranteed power, which can be very useful, especially if you want to trigger her main ability, which is the Bodyguard. You've taken a 5 or 6 threat character in the board who may be not the tankiest of characters. Some of the newer ones we've got, such as Scarlet Witch or Cassandra or even a MODOK, are not particularly tanky. You can move Okoye up next to them and let a 2-threat character take that big attack rather than dazing one of your more valuable characters. And it's because of this Bodyguard that Okoye goes straight in at S tier. Rocket Raccoon next, and this is a character that I used to play a lot, both in and outside of the Guardians, and a character that I've had a lot of success with. With only 2/2/3 on his defences and 3 stamina, he's most definitely one of the less tankier characters in the game, but he does always benefit from cover, even if the attacking character is within 2, so it gives you a much better chance of mitigating at least 1 damage. But for me, it's really his ability to sit on a back point, and with his 2 range 5 attacks, being able to dish out some really good damage. I think he's a really good, valuable asset and can be added in to most rosters. I also really like booby traps on Rocket, where if an enemy character ends a movement within range 3, he can roll 4 dice, and for every wild and crit that he rolls, the enemy character takes 1 damage. Now, the enemy character doesn't get any roll on here, so the only way to mitigate that is through Thanos' ability or something like Crossbones, where they can pay power to mitigate it. And it triggers on whether your enemy has moved their character or if you have moved them using something like MODOK's placement. So a really nice way of being able to eke out that extra damage needed to daze or KO a character. So it's this long range, this high damage, and the booby traps that puts Rocket into A tier. Next up then is Toad, and again another character that I've played a lot, specifically in my Brotherhood roster, but I also have team taken a lot outside of the Brotherhood affiliation as well. Now there's a number of reasons for this. First of all, he can interact with any objective token within range 2 as opposed to the range 1 that all other characters have limits on. His Finders Keepers, allowing him to move a civilian or asset token from any other allied character to himself. His Hop ability, allowing him to move an additional range 2. His Spit Acid, which will automatically add an Incinerate token on your enemy. And Slippery, which allows him to advance medium if he ever takes damage from an enemy attack. So with all of that, plus my own playing experience where he's been the MVP in many games, plus the fact that he gets played outside of affiliation a hell of a lot, Toad is going straight into S tier for me. Next up then is the walking tactics card himself, Wong. Now Wong is a character that obviously gets a lot of play in the Defenders, especially alongside Doctor Strange. The Vishanti's Blessing, allowing him to spend 1 power to either heal a character 2 or remove a condition token, is really useful. Faithful Assistant is basically advanced R&D, but allows Wong to dish out power to other characters around him that maybe can make better use of it. And Meditate gives him an additional 1 power, allowing for some really nice turn 1 plays. However, he doesn't really stack up on anything else. He has a single ability, Strike, and with only 4 stamina and 2 physical defense, he's very easy to take out unless he's close by his buddy Doctor Strange. He gets some play outside of affiliation and is taken by a fair number of players within the league, but he's going straight into B tier for me. And there we go, guys. That is my tier list for every threat to character in Marvel Crisis Protocol. Now, there's a few things to point out here, is that every single character in the game is viable. There is definitely a place for Nebula in some lists. I've been playing around with her and potentially putting in a Mr. Sinister list where you can bring her in already with 3 power alongside Mr. Sinister. Bob can be good in certain games and can definitely add some variety and some fun to games. But as always, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Have I been a bit harsh to some characters? Have I been not harsh enough on others? Always really good to get your feedback. So this is the first in a series of tier lists that we're going to be doing. We're going to be working all the way through the different threats. So next we'll be doing threat 3, then 4, then 5, and then 6+. And we'll also be taking into account characters that can hold 1 or multiple infinity gems and ranking them holding those various gems as well. Remember, guys, we have our competition running for the month of July, so make sure that you've hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you leave a comment in this or any other video for the month of July. And as always, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now.